Muchas gracias, afición. Esto para vosotros. Sí! And welcome back to Methamphetamine. That was a little thing for all my Spanish viewers, all the many, many Spanish viewers of the Methamphetamine channel. And welcome back. Today we're going to be doing parallel and perpendicular lines. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So, that's parallel. That's perpendicular. Parallel basically means it could go along forever and the two lines would never touch. Perpendicular means, it's not a very good diagram, but they would intersect at a right angle. Two lines. So it'd be like a cross, like this. So everything is a right angle. What's true about a parallel line? Well, these two lines have the same gradient. So if you think straight lines, y equals mx plus c. These lines both go up at the same rate or down at the same rate. Because if it's even like, say if the gradient of this one's 1 and this one's 0.1, eventually they would intersect. However, if they're exactly the same, bosh, they're going to be straight forever. So parallel lines, gradient is the same. So if the gradient of this line was 2, the gradient of that line, if they're parallel, would also be 2. Perpendicular is a bit more difficult. What could you say about these two lines? Well, they're kind of the opposite of each other gradient-wise. So you think, okay, if this one's 2, then that one must be minus 2. No, you silly Billy. It's actually what we call a negative reciprocal, which is, so what we do is we get the gradient, say the gradient of this line is 2. To get the negative reciprocal of 2 and find out the gradient of its perpendicular line, what we do is turn it into a fraction, first of all, if it's not already. So 2 is just 2 over 1. Flip the fraction, so it's 1 over 2, and then change the sign. In this case, it's positive a half, so we turn it to negative a half. So the negative reciprocal of 2 is minus a half. So for perpendicular lines, gradient is the negative reciprocal. I just realised I don't know how to spell reciprocal. We'll go with that. I'm not too sure. But yeah, so I'll show you some examples of what a question on this might look like. And yeah, we'll see. Okay, so we've got a little example question which you could get in an exam. It's work out the equation of a line that is parallel to y equals 3x minus 1 and goes through the point 2, 4. There shouldn't be a comma there. But hey, so what we're going to do, first of all, if the line's parallel to y equals 3x minus 1, it must have the same gradient, because parallel lines have the same gradient as each other. So it's a good time to mention, you need to know how to do, y equals mx plus c and stuff like that. But if we take a straight line equation, which is y equals mx plus c, we know m is the gradient, so m here is 3. So the gradient of the line that we're trying to work out would also be 3. So it'd be y equals 3x plus c. Why did I write an e? We also know, because it goes through this point, we know an x coordinate and we know a y coordinate. So the y is 4 equals 3 times 2 plus c, which simplifies to 4 equals 6 plus c. So if you minus 6 from both sides, we get c equals minus 2. So the final equation of the line we're trying to work out is y equals 3x minus 2. Bash. Very epic, very epic. I'll show you an example which you can go through at home, and I'll show you the right answer. Okay, so we've got an example here that you can go through at home if you want, and I'll show you the answer in a couple seconds, so pause the video now. We're coming at you. So because it's perpendicular to this line, we know that its gradient must be the negative reciprocal. So minus 2 is the same as minus 2 over 1. So we flip the fraction to get minus a half, and then change the sign. So instead of minus a half, it's just positive 1/2. So the gradient is a half. You can write it as 0.5 or whatever. We also know a y coordinate and an x coordinate from the points it goes through. So y is 2 equals a half times 1 plus c, which would just be 2 equals a half plus c. So then if we minus a half from both sides, we get c equals 1.5 or 1.5, whatever you want to write it as. So then we can make the final equation, which is y equals half x plus 1.5. I'll probably write it as 0.5x actually, because if we write that in decimals, we may as well write the rest of it in decimals. So yeah, I'll show you another example question which could get an exam. And bash is another example question that you could get in an exam. A line passes through the points minus 2, 1 and 4, 10. Find the equation of a line parallel to it that passes through the point 2, 7. First thing we're going to do is find out the gradient of the first line. So gradient, as we know, is change in y over change in x. So the change in y from these points is 10 minus 1, which is 9, divided by 4 minus 2, which would be plus 2, which would be 6. So 9 over 6 simplifies to 3 over 2, or we'll write it as 1.5. So the gradient of the first line is 1.5, and because the lines are parallel, that means the second line, the one we're trying to work out, will also have a gradient of 1.5. So we've got the equation so far, y equals 1.5 x plus c. And we also have, shock, a y and an x coordinate. So we'll sub those in. So the y is 7 equals 1.5 times 2 plus c. 2 times 1.5 is 3, I believe. So 7 equals 3 plus c. So if we minus 3 from both sides, we'll find that c equals 4. So the equation of the line is y equals 1.5 x plus 4. Now I'll give you one example which you can do at home, and I'll show you the answer after, and then we're done. Epic. Okay, so we've got a final example question here. A line passes through the point 2 minus 5 and 10 minus 1. Find the equation of a line perpendicular to it that passes through the point 4, 3. So I'll let you do this now. Pause it if you want to do it at home, or if not, just leave the video as it is. And yeah, I'll go through it in a couple seconds. Let's go. We'll work out the gradient, which is the change in y over change in x of the first line. So the change in y goes from minus 5 to minus 1, which is increasing by 4. And the x coordinates go from 2 to 10, which increases it by 8. So it's 4 over 8, which is simplifies to 1 over 2, or 0.5. So because it's perpendicular, actually it's probably better to leave this as 1 over 2. So because it's perpendicular, it would have the negative reciprocal. So we'd flip this fraction just to make it 2 over 1. And then change the sign in front of it to make it, instead of positive 2, minus 2. So minus 2 over 1 is literally just minus 2. So the gradient of our line is minus 2. So far we've got y equals minus 2x plus c. And we know a y coordinate and, get ready for it, an x coordinate. So 3 equals minus 2 times 4 plus c. And that will simplify to 3 equals minus 8 plus c. If we add 8 on both sides, we get c equals 11. So the final result, the final equation is y equals minus 2x plus 11. If you got that right, you've got it. Well done. I tip my hat to you. So yeah, well, see you in a minute. What a great video on perpendicular and parallel lines on the Mathamphetamine channel. If you did find it useful, please leave a like, please subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you soon when we'll be doing, I don't know what, but it will be something. See you in a bit, guys.